fine.
Yeah, so far so good. So
So
far.
far. Okay, okay. So let me come to first. What did you also got yesterday? Like from what we did.
Yes, actually, Kingsley, please, I'll be with you in like 2 minutes time. I'll have to attend to a certain call.
Okay, okay,
Sure.
we can continue today's on. Okay. So, like I said, I want us to get the basic concept first. Then once we grab that, we can build on it. Okay. So now we are still with the variable stuff. Okay. So now we've gotten understanding of the variables, and then we've gotten the idea of what we can use the variables for. Okay. Okay. So now I made mention of something. Boolean. Do you still remember what I said about Boolean?
Yes, you said it's true or false.
Okay, it's true or false. I said Boolean is true or false. So now, of course, when it comes to programming, okay, and then variable in other way, we look at the data type structure. Okay, so let me put this. Okay. Okay. So with the data type structure, we can classify the data type structure into two. Okay. So the first one will be single data or single or simple. Okay, data type. Then the next one will be, I can also talk about either complex or so either complex or articulable data type, or let's say group. Okay, let's say group, or let's say uh, uh, or another word is collection. Now, these are the data types. So now, when it comes to the simple, or let's say single, so that one we relate it to number and Boolean. And then when we talk about number, we are dealing with something. Can you tell me what constitutes number? For now, we look at what? the int, integer, and the float, right? I hope it's clear. Hello. Hello. Yes, Samuel, are you with me? Hello. Hello.
Hello?
Yes, Samuel, I want to know if you are here. How can you
I'm
hear
here.
me?
I'm here. I can hear you loud and clear.
Okay,
Loud
okay.
and clear. Yesterday I was home. Today I'm in the office. So that's the reason.
Oh, oh, sorry. Okay, so now what I was saying is that in terms of the data type, we can just group them into two, like looking at the single or simple and the complex or iterable or group or collection. Okay, now to go further, and I'm saying that when we talk about the simple, we are looking at number and boolean. Okay, number or boolean. Okay, so now a number simply means that the item that we have in the number will either be an integer, whole number, or a float. And the boolean, which is zeros and one, which is true or false. Okay. So why are we saying this is a simple data type, or and then this is a complex data type? Now, the reason is that if I have a string is a collection data type. Now, in English, when somebody says collection, what does it mean? Just that.
Yeah. So you are putting two or three things together.
Yeah.
Or you are
So,
just gathering things. Yeah.
so it's not just one. Okay. So it's a group of something. Okay. So now if I have, let's say, Kim, okay, as let's say name as a variable, and I assign it to Kim. Now this is a string, but when you look at this, can you classify this as single or collection?
Single.
Now, when you look at these are individual, these are characters, right? You could
Yeah.
see that we have key, I, N, G. These are what? Individual characters combining to form what? A string.
Okay.
Okay, so it's not just what? One.
Okay.
So we cannot see, but then when you come to numbers like, let's see,
Okay.
a number like and I see this.
Mm.
This, of course, is single, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
If I use number like 2.0, of course, it's still single, right? And
Yes.
then if I also say that is me, and I say yeah, true. What this is what these two, the true, it simply means that we just I give you example like boolean is what true or
True.
false, or zeros and what
One.
one. Okay, so we will go into details for you to really understand this, but I just want you to know that the data type, what we are now focusing on is a simple. So I'm not going to talk about the string now. The string will move to the next one, which will be a collection data type, because there are other things that we needed to learn out of it, but we are keeping it simple. But initially, I just want you to understand when you talk about a string, what does it means? Okay, so now you've got that. So now I want us to focus on Boolean. So when we understand the Boolean proper, then we can build upon it. Okay, so now we move on to the Boolean. Now there are some things we need to know concerning Boolean. Now, if I have, for now we already know that if I have this int, this one is a callable for integer. Okay, for now, if I do this and I say int and I assign it to number _1, okay, this one represents what? Integer. Okay, so it's a callable for integer because when you check the data type for int, what comes? If right now we check the data type, let's see, we want to check the type for number 1, and I type in print number 1. Okay, now instead of number 1, I want to see the type, so I'll put the type here. Oh, sorry. I'll put the type there. Okay, so when you check here, you could see that it came as what? A string. Okay, so this is the callable for a string. So now this string is what makes integer. So every integer, you get them from this. So if now I call this one, maybe we want to get more information about this string, I can print help. Now, in programming, there are a lot of information that you can get. So this is a class int. And when we see a class, let's say in English or science, when you use the word class of something, what does it mean? Let's forget about programming. Like when you hear class, what does it mean?
It's actually you've put 2 or 3 like people into one like group or something.
Yeah. So you put 2 or 3. So it's mean like you are a member of something. So let's
Yeah.
say family. Maybe I belong to your family. You are from this class of what? Family. Okay. Meaning that within that group, you are part of it, them. Okay. So the same thing to science. We have kingdom. Okay. So when you check, there are classes of species that fall under them and individual. So in programming, we say that programming is a Python programming is all about object-oriented programming. So when you talk about object-oriented programming, it simply means that everything that we needed to do, we need to think in terms of objects that you can relate to or you can feel. So when you get an object, now you can look at the object property. So what are the properties of this object? You could look at the attributes of the property of that object. You could look at the methods like the functionality of that object. So let's take like a human being as an object. Now, when you pick a human being as an object, what are some of the attributes that you can get from a human being? What are some like attributes like properties? I'm talking about properties.
Is it like the head, the eye, the
Yeah,
nose?
the head, the eye. So now you can see that a human being may have what? 2 hands. Okay, you may have what? One head, the eyes, and all. These are all your properties or attributes. Okay, now inside that you may look at your functionality of each, because I know your eye may have a functionality, your mouth may have a functionality, and so in programming you will say method. Okay, So when it comes a class, we will look at a method. Method means that what can this attribute or the property, what can they do? Okay, so when you break everything into object, now you can program for that. So when you pick a robot as an object, what are you to just to mimic maybe the human being? You can create a robot as a human. We have a robot who is in the form of a software. But what makes that robot a robot is the functionality of that robot. Okay, so look at the properties and the functionality of that. So everything that you'll be learning here, always you need to picture in terms of what? Object. An object comes as a class. Okay, so a class will give you an object. So you see, object of a class simply means that instance of a class. So if I say instance of you, I mean that copy of you. Okay, so it's the same thing. So in programming, mostly whatever that you see, it's the same thing in English. So we just relate it to your understanding in English, what that this means, then you can relate it to the same thing. So we just look at, so now we are looking at a number here, and we are saying that it's an object. So now, if we want to get more information about this, we have a function that we use, like this help. So this help function, like the same as type. So the type function will let us know the type of variable that we have. So now, if now I know the type of variable, but which is what? Int. Now I need more information about this int, because I don't know what this int can do, because I need to find out about what, because it's a class, I know a class may be of objects. So now I need to find out of its attributes and then method, okay, like the functionality, what it could do. So to be able to get that, we use the help function to help us to get more information. So now I will place here int inside help. So now when you run this one, now you can see here, I have a lot of information here, indicating that what class what int and is what object. Okay, so now you could see here that integer, this is what integer, the int means an integer. So you could see here int means an integer, and then it's what for base 10. So I believe when you look at mathematically, integers are number is base, so it's of base 10. So now we can convert a number or a string to another integer, or return 0 if no arguments are given. So now this is the class. So we can use this class of the integer to convert this one to maybe a string. You realize if maybe I have a string and I want to convert the string to a number, then it means that I can use this class, which is for the integer, to convert that. Now if I have this class int and then I have no argument, means that you have nothing inside, everything is empty, then it means that it's going to give you what? 0. Okay, and so that is what I want you to really understand here. And then you could see here, this is what a subclass. It means that the parent class, and so a boolean is a subclass of what? An integer. So you could see here, I have what? A boolean, bool. This is for bool, and it's a subclass of what? Integer. So now I really want us to understand this. Okay, so we have all this content here. As you can see, if I have the next one and I want to check, this one is float. So if you want to check for the float, it's the same thing. You can place the float in the help function. So when I tap help here, and then I place float, So once I run, you see that it's also a class. Okay, and you can see here what I do. You can see the class, what exactly it has. Certain we will not go into details of that, but I just want you to see here. So all the information that we got from here, that this one to give us. So you could see here we have a lot of information down there. That is for the float. So you can see a float is a class float, and this and this and this. So you could see that you can convert a string or a number to a floating point if possible. So that is what I want us to get into. The rest we will get there, but for now, that is not the focus. So now we already know the classes, okay? So we know the class for integer, the class for bool, okay? So when we check the type of this, if I check the type of is me, what do we have? Once we run this code, you could see what do we have here? It's a bool, right? So now we know that these ones are the Boolean type that we have. So these are the instant classes that we have, which are for now. So we are looking at the simple. We are looking at integer. We are looking at what? A float instant. And then we look at bool, which is for Boolean instant. Okay. And for now, we know that this one represents what? A whole number. This one represents a decimal, and this one represents zeros and one, or true or false. Okay. So now that we know all this one, it means that we can convert one data type to another. We can convert one data type to another using this one. We call this one callable. So using the callable, so we can convert one data type to another if I want to change one data type to another. So for now, we know that str is for what? String. And we say that anything within the quotes is a string from yesterday class. Okay. So now let's go down there and see. So I'm going to provide a variable. Okay. So now you're saying that converting one data, converting converting from one data type to another. Okay. So in other words, we can also see what? Casting. Casting means that we are changing from one state to another. So if I want to change from one state to another state, we say casting. So we use this one to do your casting for now. Okay, so let's see. I have a data type. Let's see, number. And then this one is, let's see, number underscore 3. And then I will assign it to. So what value are you expecting this to give us? If you check the state, if you check the type, what value? Hello. Hello. Hello.
Yes, yeah, King, please, you are here.
Yeah, I'm asking that if I want to check the type, what am I expecting to see for number 3? If I want to check.
It's not 40 or
No, no, no. If I want to check the data type.
for I mean I call it 40.
Yes.
It's I call it integer
A string.
No,
string.
it's string. Let me
It's
say
a
that
string.
anything within the quote is what?
Okay,
A
okay, okay,
string.
okay. It's a
It's a
string.
string.
Okay,
Now, once you check here, the type, let's
okay.
say, and then I come here, say type. Sorry. And
All
place
right.
number _3. So you can see here, the output will be a
Okay,
string.
string. Okay.
Now we say converting from one data type to another or casting. So that means that I can change from a string to what? An integer. So to do that, I will use what? The callable, that this one. So we use this one to cast to change. So now instead of this one, I can place this. I can do something like this, int. So which means that I'm converting the output to what? Integer. So once I run this code, you could see that it came as what? Int. So even though here was a string, you can convert it back to what? Integer. Do you get it? So you can do the same thing to all of them. You can do the same thing to all of them. So I can convert it to what? A float by saying float and run. You see that the output will be float. Okay. So you see you can either decide to do it at the stage where you are calling it. Okay. So I can decide to do it at the stage where I'm calling that. Okay, so to do it that stage, what I will do is that here I can place this integer inside what. So it means that I'm casting the string back to what? Integer. So now the value that will be stored in number 3 will no longer be what? A string, but what? Int. So that can be applied to all of them. That can be applied to all of them. Okay. I hope it's clear.
Yes, yes.
So now, what we say is that empty string. So if I have the empty of this string, like you see here, this is a string. So when you have a string like this, maybe without placing any argument. Now, anytime you put something within this, we call it argument. Without giving any argument here, the value will be what? 0. The default is what? 0 when you don't have anything inside. So if right now I want to check for number 1, you could see that the default will be 0. Okay. So in the same way, if it was a boolean, what do you think the default value would be like? If here, now I make here 4 and then change the value to float. So what are you expecting the output from number 4, the default state? If you understand the boolean, what value are we expecting?
Actually, it's not true.
No, we are saying the default state of this is 0. okay, like the value, because you say that if you have empty ends like this, will give you what? 0. And then if I have empty floats, even there's no argument, what value do you think will come here?
Also 0.
But it should be 0 point what? Because
0.
yeah, because it's a float, so you see that what? 0 point what? 0. So if I have empty of this, so empty of, so here will also be maybe name. Let me say my underscore name. Okay, so now str is string. I hope we already know that. So empty of this will also give me empty string. Okay, sorry, let me print that. Sorry. Okay. Do you see? Now, because of what we are doing here, I'm supposed to give us the empty string, but we realize that here is empty. Can you see that? So, if truly we want to see that, we can actually place it in the, can see the gap. So let's copy this line. Let me see, copy this line, place it here. Let's see, maybe this part will show. So now when I run this one here and I call my underscore name. Now do you see it? I hope you can see it.
Yes, yes.
So that is the empty string. But here when you print it like that, it doesn't show. But when you put it in the interpreter, that one will show you. But here, that's why you saw that it came here empty. There, the empty string, because we were printing, so it will not show exactly like that. Okay, so now we've gotten the understanding of this. So empty of this will give us empty string. Empty of float will give us what? 0.0. Then if I have empty of bool, let's say empty of bool, so I have a boolean here, say is underscore work. Okay, and then we know that boolean is for what? Bool. So empty bool. So here I will now print is underscore work. Okay. Now, empty boolean always give us what? False.
False.
Okay, because when something is empty, boolean of course is 0. There's nothing in there, doesn't exist, so it's false. So all that I want us to know that when it comes to boolean deal with what? Zeros and what? 1. So if I place 1 in this, then this one is going to give me what? 1 inside this is going to give us
True.
true. Okay, if I place 0, 0 is for false. So it's going to give us what? False. Okay. So now that is Boolean. Okay. So if you place a Boolean inside number 3, okay, what are we expecting? So if I place number 3, now true, we know that true is what? True is
Um,
true is
one.
right, right.
Sorry, say again.
I'm saying that true is 1, right?
Yes.
So now if you place true inside int, but you realize that when you check the object for int, you realize that Boolean is a subclass for what? Integer. So now if I check it and I run this code, you could see that it came as what? 1. Can you see it?
One.
Yes,
Yes.
meaning that true is 1 in integer.
Integer. Yeah.
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 Okay. And then if I change here to false, oh sorry. If I change here to false, that should be 0. Do you get it? I hope it's clear.
Yes. Yes. It's very clear.
Okay. So now in Boolean, so let's classify things that considered to be Boolean value false, and then things that classify to be a Boolean value true. Okay. So now the understanding is there. So if I have empty of this, so we are talking about Boolean false. So Boolean false. Okay, I'm looking at this, then float string 0. Okay, so this one what we've done, but then the other one, like we have a list like this, like string. We've not done that, but what I want you to know is that when it comes to Boolean value false, anything empty is false. Anything empty is false. So it could be a list, it could be a float, it could be a dictionary, it could be a set, it could be anything empty is false. Anything 0 is what? Is false. Okay, and then true, when it comes to a Boolean value, true. 1 is what? Is true. And apart from that, if you have any number apart from 1 is also true. So if I have any number here and I want to check the Boolean value, that should give me what? True. I hope it's clear.
Yeah.
Okay, so we know that the Boolean, this is what we use for Boolean. Okay, so if I place in anything here, anything 1, that should give me true. If I place in any other thing, like any other number, okay, that should be true. If I place in any other number apart from 0, should be what?
True.
True. So if I say a string and I put in kin, that should be true. Okay, so that is true. And then when it comes to false, So if I have bool like this, so anything empty is what? Is false, right? If I
Yes.
have bool on its own here, the default of this, when we have a boolean, a default of this without anything inside to give you false. If I place in empty integer like int like this, it should give me what? False. So anything empty is what? Is false. Okay. And then 0. I hope it's clear now.
Yeah.
Okay, so that is Boolean. So we'll be using Boolean in our logical operations and stuff. So I just want us to really understand the Boolean concept. So when we get there, we know how we can work with the Boolean. Okay, so
Okay.
now that the concept is clear, when we move on to the next level, we know. So a Boolean is also part of what? The simple data type because it's single. So anything single is classified as simple data type, which is number, Boolean, and then a float. They are all simple data type. Okay, and of course we know that a Boolean is a subclass of what? Integer. I hope you've seen that because true
Yes.
is what? 1 and false is what? 0. And 1 is part of an integer and 0 is also part of an integer. Okay. So now with this understanding, let's focus on the casting. So now we are done with Boolean. So now we want to focus on casting. Now last time I think I did gave you a simple explanation about programming, or let's say computing in general. Like I said, a computer accepts what data, process the data, and execute what? The output. Okay. Now, what we were doing yesterday, you realize that we were assigning the value to the variable. Like here, I did assign the value like 1 to the variable number 1, and I assigned another value here to another variable here. So in this case, we call this one hard coding. So when I do something like this, here it means hard coding. It means that everything is static. It's
Yeah.
not dynamic. So something hard means that it's static. So here this is a static coding. So it means that whatever is here, that will come. Okay. But if we want to do something dynamic coding where we want to have user interaction. So maybe I can prompt you to give me data. So if I want to prompt you to give me data, there's a function that we use. For now, we already know this one, the print function, right? Right? And
Yes.
then we know this function, the type function, right? We know that to check the type of data. This one to give us what? The output. So here for output, and here give us what? Data type. Okay. And then the next one that I want to introduce to you is called input. Okay. So this one, input, here is for user interaction. So here you can prompt someone to key in what data or capture data from the end user. So that is prompt. So now on your mobile money, you use the word, you can receive prompts, right? So when you receive prompt on your mobile money, then it asks you to input your code, right? Maybe if you want to do a withdrawal, they ask you that wait for the prompt. I hope or you've not heard it.
No, we have. Yeah.
Yeah, so that is prompt. So in that case, they prompt you to capture data from you. So that is dynamic in that point. It's not fixed. So you prompt the end user for that data. So we use input function for prompts. Okay, so now we can do a prompt data. So already what we've done here, we can now go over to do prompts. Now, in programming, there's one thing that I forgot to explain. You'll be seeing that I'm doing hash, hash, hash. It simply means comment. So anything that you have hash tag in front, when you run your program, the interpreter will ignore it. So you see this one as just a note or a reference for you, but not the interpreter. So anything hash, we call it comment. So now this one is a single line comment. So hashtag like the single line comment. Now we have a double line comment where it will occupy multiple lines. So like all what you've done here, if I want to place everything into a double line comment, start with a triple code like here. You can start with 1, 2, 3. You can see that it has highlighted everything here to green. Then I will get to where I want to end the comment down there and say 1, 2, 3. So we call this one multiple line comments. So multiple line comments, and then this one is on a single line comment. Okay. So always in programming, you try to leave a comment so that at least it serves as a guide for you to know exactly what you are doing. Okay. So we want to create a simple calculator. So a simple calculator just to add some numbers. So I don't want to do the hard coding. What we've been doing is the hard coding. I don't want to do that hard coding. So I want us to focus on the one that is not hard coding, but using a dynamic data. So a dynamic data here, I'll start with number underscore one. And then I will assign it to input function. Now here in the input function, I will give a message to the prompt, like what I want you to do. So here my message will be enter first number. So enter.
So King, actually, before you continue, so actually, what you just wrote, enter first number. Is it also you said it's called how you call it an argument? Is it also an argument?
Yeah, it's an argument inside the input function.
Okay.
Okay, so now you are just giving an argument to the input function, just as a description to the end user, what the end user can do. Okay, if I leave this one empty, it will come as a blank space, but you don't know what exactly you should do. So for instance, if I decide to clear this one, I don't want to give, so the prompt will come all right, but it will come as what? A blank prompt, so you can say print. So anything within the code, a scripting, when you want to see the output, always you print.
Print.
But if
Okay.
for instance I'm using the interpreter, that one to come straight. So
Okay.
now within your code, now I'll come here and say print number underscore one. So once you run this code, you could see that the prompt will come, but it will come as what? A blank prompt. You can see the cursor is blinking. But so the end user will not know what to do because you are the developer. You want to capture a data, so you should actually give a description to the end user what exactly you want to capture from him. So for here, I could see that. Let me close here. Stop it. Then I can see that enter. So what you are giving the description here is a string. It's a string information you are giving. That's why we placed it in quotes. Like you said, anything within a quote is what? A string. So now we see that enter first number. And So in this case, I'm just leaving the space so that it will not be too close to the instruction. Okay, so enter first number. Once you run this code here, you could see that you could see here. Now it will prompt you for what? Enter what? First
Yes.
number. Okay, so if I type in here and I write ends here, so now I can see that it has printed what? The number, because I just printed number one. So you can see what I just key in there. So we can capture data and now use that data for our operation. Okay, so for now here, I can capture another data here and say number underscore two. Okay, number underscore two, and then come here and say what input function. Then the input function, I will capture the data says what enter number two, or say okay, or enter second number. Let me put it that. Okay, so once you run this one, it will just prompt out for those information. Okay, now I want us to check something. Now, from our previous understanding, what we know is that anything that you use the input function to capture, it comes as what? A string. So anything you use the input function to capture come as what? A string. So in this case, if you want to check the type, let's say type, sorry. And then you could see here number underscore one. Then you could see that it came as what? A string. So if I type in 2, 1, then you could see here. What do you see here? A
Yeah,
string.
that's
So now I don't need a string for calculation. What we want to do is to calculate. So what do we need to do? In this case, from the previous what we just did, what do we need to
yeah.
do? To change it
So
to,
we have to change it into an integer.
so how do we do that?
In fact, I wasn't following, but I know there's a way of doing it.
Okay. Okay, Samuel, do you have an idea?
We will print the type and then we'll add int to it. I don't know if
Okay,
you follow.
okay. So I think all of you are getting the. So what we need to do is that we want to cast this one, cast the input function to what? To an integer. So we can either do it this way by saying that we change the output. So if right now I say print, like what we just did there, we can do the same thing. But the output, what exactly we are looking for is to convert this. So I can then place the whole of this into what? Int function, just to cast everything. Okay, so it means that the output, whatever this one will come for, anything that comes for input come as what a string. Then when you have placed a string inside an int, it also change it to what?
An integer.
Now I can convert this one to an integer. So you do the same thing to this. Okay, so now you could see that we've done that. So now we can see that, okay, we want to do a simple addition. So I can say add, and then I will assign add to number underscore one plus number underscore two. Okay, so now I can print my this. So if I want to print this one, I can just print add, and this will give me the results. So you can see that you ask me enter number one. then I'll put in 4, then number 2, I'll put in 5, then you can see that 9. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Now we can also add some little bit of description to what we just did. You can see just 9. But if you want maybe the end user to know exactly what you added, we call something like formatting string. So we call this one. This is what we call F formatting string. Okay, so we can place everything in what F formatting string just to allow us to add a little bit flexibility, like description to what we are doing. So now we place this one. This is F formatting string. So I'll place the voting. So now within the F formatting string, every variable supposed to be in what? A placeholder. So this is the placeholder, like this. So we call this one a placeholder. Okay. So now here I now can just try to express myself by saying that I'll place another placeholder here and say number 1, number underscore 1. Then I can add class. So I'm just adding number underscore 1 plus another placeholder. That will give me the value of this. That is number underscore 2. Then I will say equal. Okay, equal to this. So now this means that this actually will give us the output that we want to see. So to pick the value of number 1, to show the value of number 1, this will show the value of number 2. And then this is because it's a string formatting. So because this one is a string, so we don't need to place them in the code. So only place a variable in the placeholder where you want to pick the value. So this one will give us just the value from the variable. So now when we run this code, you could see that everything now will change. So now I can say 4, I can say 8, then you could see that 4 plus 8 equals to 12. I hope it's clear. Hello.
Yes, yes, yes.
So we can just write another formula for that. So I can write the formula, say subtract. So just the formula that we need, and then I can maintain the same thing here. What we just did, maintain the same thing here. Then I'll change what is coming out. So here will be subtract. Okay, so when I get here, I'll just change this one to subtract. Then I'll change here to the variable that I want to pick, which is what? Sub. Okay, then we can write another formula again for division. Okay, so I can copy the whole of this, okay, and place it down there, and then change here to division sign where it is. Okay, and then change here to division. Okay, and then when I get here, I'll just change the sign to divide. Okay, then we can move on to change the value from here forward division. Okay, let's add another formula that we know. So another formula is multiplication. So let's say mult, and then I'll assign it to change here to multiplication sign. Okay, then when I get here, I'll repeat the same thing to multiplication sign here, and then change this one to mod. Okay, and what the other one, what that would be what module, right? So module. So we change here to the module sign. So that would be, oh sorry, change here to module sign. Okay, so when I get here will be the module sign, and then change this one to module. Okay, so we have that. Oh, I should have duplicated this one too. I hope you get it. Hello.
Yeah. I get you.
Yes,
Yes.
they are following.
I was just so it means that the others will not come. Like all these ones should duplicate. Okay, so we could get them like that. Okay, so now we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4. I think last one. Okay. I think the left is one that I need to add to it. Do you remember the floor division? Yeah, the floor division. Do you remember?
No, I don't.
No, when you do the floor division, it means that you're only interested in what the whole number, but not the decimal. And
Okay.
here, we're only interested in the module, we are interested in what? The remainder. Okay. But so these are, so this is the floor division. Okay, so now here, because it's a variable, I need to use the underscore just to differentiate the two. Okay, so now I can come here and change the value from here to class and change this one to the add, change here to subtract, and then this one will be sub. Okay, change here to be the division, and then this one will be the division. Okay, and then here will be for multiplication, and then change here to be mod, and then this one to be module. So here is module. So that will be module. So the last one will be the floor division. So just copy this. So here will be the floor division, and then we have this one floor. Okay, so now when we run this code, you could see what exactly we can do. So can run this line. Then it asks us to enter the first number. let's say 4, and the second number, let's say 8. Now you could see the result. So 8 plus this will give us 12. 4 minus this will be negative. This time this 4 divided by 8 0.5. This time this 32. Then 4 modulo 8 is what? Why 4 modulo 8 4?
Because we are interested in the remainder, and there's no remainder. It will be a float if you do that calculation. It's a fraction. I don't know if
No, if you have here is what? 8. 8 4.
yes,
8 people
they can't divide
4. Yeah, like no one will get to the
anything,
4
so you get a 4.
will still be the remainder. I hope it's clear. Because I have 8 people sharing what? 4 items. And of course, each cannot even get 1. So they will still keep the item. I hope it's clear.
Yes, it's clear.
Yeah, so that's why we still have the 4, because it's not up to the number that we can share. So that 4 will still be there. Okay. And then here is what? 4 modulo 8 is 0. Why? Four modulo. Because that, of course, that will give us 0 point something. Like
Something
and we are not interested in what?
interested in the
Yeah,
point.
that's the point. So we just keep the. So that's the reason why we have 4. So now you can see that this is the what we did yesterday. We just added. Now we'll be able to add a prompt to it, and then we've also gone through the understanding of the number itself, the integer, and then we now know that everything about Python programming is all about object oriented. So now you need to think in terms of objects. So maybe you have an idea, you need to think in terms of objects. Then you need to look at the attributes or the properties of that thing you want to do. Then look at the functionality. When you get all these components, then you can program for that thing. Because now you have what those things could do. I hope it's clear.
Yeah. We are getting there.
Okay. Okay. So I don't want to add more. Okay. It's better you take this one and you're able to consume it. Okay. So from what we did yesterday, I want you to practice that. Then you build upon it by adding the data capturing. So you move from static data to a dynamic data, and then you can do the same thing. And now we've added the formatting, you add the formatting just to be able to describe the output very well, like what we have. Okay, so if you have any question for me, you can. If there's something I said and you couldn't get it, maybe I could throw light on.
Okay, so Kingsley, actually, what I want to find is that how you call it? Yesterday, like, did you post the video? I think you sent some video. Was it the class
Yeah,
video?
yeah, that is the class. That is the
Okay,
class.
okay,
That is the class.
yeah. So
What we
maybe
did yesterday.
yesterday. So if you can send this one too. So because me first, I have to take my time and then go through.
Okay,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
I'll forward this one to
Yes.
you. Okay. So Samuel, do you also have any?
I'm fine. I had a question, but along the line it's been answered. You notice
Okay.
that before you run print,
Mm-hmm.
then you open brackets. So
Mm-hmm.
it's a class, and then the instance of the class, then we
Mm-hmm.
get the result. Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So that was what I wanted to find out, but along the line I got it. So apart from
Okay.
that,
Okay. Okay. That's fine. So thank you very much for joining today's session. Hope to see you on Friday.
Kingsley, just one last thing.
Mm-hmm.
This one, take it as a compliment. I think you are good.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Honestly, I think he's doing well because, in fact, I have no base at all, but at least yesterday, today.
The person who taught me Java is like reading Arabic to an English student.
It's so easy.
Oh, it's you later. We'll have that conversation.
Yeah.
For now.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you very much. Okay. And see you on Friday.
Yeah,
Okay.
sure, sure. Thanks so much. Thanks so much for your time.
Bye.
Bye bye.
Bye.